3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. This is Ignacy from Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacor. You are listening to Board Games Insider, and this is episode 258, which we are recording on December 7th, 2022. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and Tom Vassell can only dream of playing the great games that I am playing this week with friends who are down from New Jersey hanging out with us in Florida for this week. So I'm very happy to be doing that. I'll let you know what they were later, but Tom is going to be jealous. Absolutely.
I think I saw some pictures of World of the Ring. Is that correct?
Shh, spoiling it. Yes. That's one of them. Yeah, I literally just posted this morning. We played yesterday. But anyway, what's going on at Portal Games?
To be honest, I was when I was preparing to the show, I thought, oh my God, nothing interesting to talk. Everything is released, no new releases. What I'm gonna to talk about, and then I looked at my website. I looked what my team is preparing, and I said, hey, actually, we are working. We are still working.
Still working.
So here's a couple of updates from Portal Games offices, from Portal Games company. First of all, we announced this week. Be with me, 10th Army for Neuroshima Hex app. Mississippi is going to be added to the app on December 16, so very, very soon. And the app, month after month, week after week, we are just adding new content. So for all of you who already have this app, you know how amazing it is. You probably have a couple of these armies. And for those of you who don't have this app yet, Neuroshima Hex, just figured out, if this app has 10 unique armies, it has to be amazing, right? It has to have a fan base, it has to have community, it has to be a demand for new armies. So yes, we are still upgrading, still updating. 10th army in Neuroshima Hex this month. I will update you when it is ready.
And that's great because, fans, who are playing it can constantly get some new content. Yep. So you're supporting the product in a really cool way by adding yet another one and yet another one. So yeah, go check out Neuroshima Hex, the app.
And with tactical games like that, if we add a new army, it's not only playing this new army, but now you can play all your previous favorite armies against this new army, because you have this, new strategy challenges. So it is like so huge ability to have all this now connection between these armies. But this is just one of the news that I found out on my website. The other news is that Forgal, please pronounce it for me in English. Forgal the board game.
Oh, Thorgal. Yes.
Thorgal. TH is very, very difficult.
Thorgal.
As I promised the last podcast, we are now in the stage of slowly presenting the mechanism of the game. The Game Found campaign will be early next year, but we want our backers to be educated, to be prepared with the decision if they want to back the project. So now every Tuesday, we present on our website the presentation of the mechanics of the game, and in this week we presented Atlas of Adventure. I don't want to spoil. Please go to portalgamesus.com and read about Atlas of Adventures, brand new mechanism that we introduced in this game. So this is a Forgal update. Besides that, this Monday, out of nowhere, out of blue, I just turned on camera and did unexpected live stream because I missed my fans, and I did a half an hour video discussing all Portal Games topics about all the new releases, about the upcoming releases, about the website, blah, 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 blah. So if you want to check out the half an hour amazing video with all the updates from Portal Games on our Portal Games YouTube channel. Besides that, as I talk about this every podcast since a couple of weeks, I'm still on fire, still every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, ignacytrzewicek.com. I'm writing for you new essays, new feuilletons, new reviews, new stuff. So this Monday, for instance, I was doing a review of Frostgrave. Today, I wrote my thoughts about the tournament of Arkham Horror. So every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, go to ignacytrzewicek.com, and I'm writing for you guys. And today's news, we just posted a beautiful gallery of the game Brazil. Brazil Imperial was our last release this year. The game was astonishing. I was not involved. I just loved the game. I bought rights for this game, and I'm proud distributor, so I can give all the prize the original Brazilian distributor and original Brazilian publisher. Beautiful artwork, beautiful components, and we posted a beautiful gallery on our website. So the bottom line is, my dear listeners, our dear fans, our beautiful community, go check out portalgamesus.com, because this crazy independent publisher every day has something for you. So check it out. Nice?
Very, very, very good. You and your team just killing it all the time, my friend.
Thank you.
Over here at the Podfather of Gaming, yes, I will be mentioning the World Series of Board Gaming again at least one more time this week before I stop talking a little bit. But I had a meeting with them this week, actually, just as I got back from PAX Unplugged. I had a meeting with them because they wanted to bring up to date some of the people that will be invited back again. As I mentioned, I am going to be invited back again as a VIP. Sadly, Tom Vassell is going to be the guest of honor, but that's okay. I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of that, So that was fun. They're doing unbelievable things. Like they've created a diversity committee, which is headed by Paula Deming. We know her, to ensure that we bring new voices into the World Series of Board Gaming. So I can't mention anybody at the moment, but there's going to be some very wonderful, diverse group of people who will be other VIPs that will be there. Danielle Standring, you know her well. She's just amazing. She's like the social event coordinator. I'm not sure if that's the title, but she's creating new social type events or events that you'll be able to do in Las Vegas while you are at the World Series of Board Gaming for the people that are there. It's going to be so much fun. And of course, besides that, other thing I got to mention is that there are now new second chance tournaments. So while you don't win a ring, there'll be a whole bunch of other tournaments that'll be going on that you can also get into. They're going to allow people to bring a number of guests so that your guests can train you like you're like in the Olympics, or they can just hang out and play in the huge open gaming area. So all of these things together are just really amping up from an unbelievably good 2022 event, which is going to be now just an incredible twice as large event in 2023. Ticket sales are already running at 150% of last year. So really, really good numbers. And that's when I now tell you, you should consider going over to wsbgvegas.com. This is my challenge. You just go there, check out what they're doing. If you sign up for the quadruple ring or the stay and play packages, use code Podfather to get $40 off the price. And my special promise to my listeners, you also get a beer with the Podfather if you tell me that you heard this and you got my Podfather coupon, and now you're there because of that. I'll buy you a beer or a drink or whatever you like when we're seeing each other at the World Series of Board Gaming. If you really want to check out and see what happened in the coverage that we did, the final table coverages that we did, which was so amazing. It was like World Series of Poker type coverage. Go over to the Podfather Gaming channel and it's linked there. Or, of course, you can just go to the World Series of Board Gaming YouTube channel and see all of the things. Highly recommend checking all of that out. As we mentioned at the top of the show, PAX Unplugged just got back. I was away for 2 weeks, as you saw me recording from Mom's house for the last two shows. Oh, so much fun. I had a great time with my family. I love them. But, after a certain amount of time, you got to get away from your family. So it was a great time to be there. PAX Unplugged was amazing. Big shout outs to Cephalofair Games, Ninth Level Games, and Maestro Media. They all ran events on different nights. We had such a good time. They were such wonderful hosts. I was invited. They were industry/media events to promote the various games. Cephalofair, of course, it's talking about Frosthaven and the Gloomhaven RPG. Just great events. Thank you guys for having me there. Most of the games I played at the show were lighter games because I was running around and having a good time. Played Cat in the Box, the Crew Deep Sea Adventures. I just keep loving these two games, and it's so easy to bring out and keep playing. I played Tussie Mussy again. I haven't played that for a while. That's the micro game by Elizabeth Hargrave. Just a lot of fun. You're collecting flowers in a up to 4-player game, 18 cards. It works so well, very fast. And I played War of the Ring, the card game, with our podcast voice guy, Ray Greenlee, who's a good friend of mine from New Jersey. He came down for a couple of days, and we got a chance to sit down. We had lunch. And we played War of the Ring, a card game. He loved it. And I got my Paula to play that too. We played it as a 3-player game. So it was my first time playing it that way. Trilogy scenario, 3-player game. It still plays great. A lot of fun. And I'll talk a little more about that at a second. Oh, this is the good second to do it. Yesterday, I also played War of the Ring, the card game, in the duel, D-U-E-L, that means duel, fighting, not D-U-A-L, 2 people, but it was the duel fighting 2-player scenario, and it plays much faster. Not that the game is long to begin with. You can play the 4-player game of War of the Ring, the card game, in like 90 minutes, once you know it, easily, I would say. The duel plays much faster. Played it 2 players, still holds up. I don't think you get as interesting an experience, so I think the game is better with more players. However, played great, had a great time with it, and I won, which makes it even better. But the bigger news is that yesterday I also got to play War of the Ring, the board game. I played the Free Peoples against my buddy Neil. Neil and his wife Amy are here hanging out and visiting with us, and he played the Shadow, and it came down to the last turn, basically. If he would have been able to just drop a little extra corruption on me, then I would have lost. The Free Peoples triumphed. We had 10 corruption, not the 12 that would have ruined Middle Earth for the next age. So it was a wonderful victory for the Free Peoples. The light of the Valar will shine upon Middle Earth for another age. Ignacy, aren't you happy about that?
Congratulations. Very good.
Yeah, it's great. We were considering either playing that again or just hitting the rest of the collection. Neil's a good rules guy, so he'll learn like anything in my collection, like, while I'm doing this podcast. So fun. I'm going to be playing a lot more games, certainly in the thematic genre, which is, all about what I love. Let's get over to the event deck. So, Ignacy, you can gloat, have a wonderful time with this, start mocking.
I have serious comment today.
You have serious comment. All right. So I will give the news first, and then Ignacy can give his serious comment. The GAMA board president has stepped down again. This is like the Who song, Meet the New Boss, same as the old boss. Yeah. Even I'm beginning to sadly become skeptical. Let me read the news and I'll comment as well. New GAMA board president steps down after just over 3 months at the position. The Game Manufacturers Association announced that GAMA board president Frank West has stepped down as of November 25th, 2022. West was elected as president on August 18th, 2022. He replaced Grace Collins, the GAMA board's vice president, who had taken over as the interim president for Kylie Primus. Primus had also stepped down earlier this year on July 18th. Now Grace Collins will once again assume the mantle of interim GAMA board president from Frank West. With West's exit, a director position has opened, and they'll have a special election, which will happen in March. It looks like they're going to wait until March. That process has just been announced, but I did not get a chance to read it. Anyway, you want to go first? Because there's all kinds of commentary. I mean, I have some good commentary. I have some pretty negative. So go ahead.
So this is now 4 years. It became viral. It became like our ongoing joke that I'm making fun of elections in GAMA. But in this podcast, I always try to be a little bit silly, entertaining, but of course, discussing also the serious topics. So my serious comment is that it's not funny. It's actually, in a long term, it is not fun stuff. Like, I can make jokes of different things, but if 4 years I'm just making fun of elections. My question is very serious. If GAMA is really helping publishers, if GAMA is really helping retailers, if they are doing anything productive, just accept they're doing this election. So I can make another funny joke about another election, but I'm tired. Like something is wrong with this organization. Like inside this organization, there is some problem, and I think that it needs some action. I don't know who can help, but I don't know. But it is really worrying me, and it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, I really, really like Frank West. I met him, I think for the first time this year, right after he took the position, like at Gen Con. I met him there. I was on the plane coming back from Gen Con, so I'm not sure if he was actually had been elected yet or not as the president. Nice guy. And then we hung out. We met in an informal meeting at one of the parties in Essen, and really smart, had the right vision, everything. I like what he was saying. So this, and I have to be really honest about this. This was really like gut punching to me. Like after that meeting, and then after seeing that the board had a retreat just the week before this announcement, where they were posting all this good stuff that had happened, the board's moving things forward. And then he steps down, and I mean, I hope, I hope he just had some issues that he, personal things that maybe he just needed to take care of, so he couldn't do this, because it really is like a gut punch to me to hear this news again for somebody that I thought could really do a good job. So Frank, I think you're a listener even. I'm so sorry not to hear that you're not there, because I really think that he could have done a great job here. It's going to be sad. And again, as you implied, Ignacy, is this organization just simply beyond repair, that people of quality can't have a long-term tenure with this, really move the needle of things that need to be done? I have helped this organization, I think, more than some of the people on the board and stuff like that. Not only the promotion that I do and I talk about, but I'll tell you, I don't know that I even mentioned this, due to my connections, right, in the world, right, because we just connect with so many people. A guy reached out to me and said, hey, I from this university, we do online classes, and you can get a degree through us. I don't want to mention anything like that until GAMA, of course, does it. And I'm like, that is like, and he said that we're willing to offer this as a benefit at a deep discount to GAMA members. And I was like, that is a huge thing to implement, right? So think about it. You own a store, you're a GAMA member, you own a store, and all of your employees can go and take college accredited degrees. You're a publisher, same thing. I thought that was astonishing. I hooked them up to GAMA board, to the board and to operations. And as far as I know, they're working on this now. I think that's a huge win. Now, I didn't do anything except connect people, so I have nothing really that I did, but that's a help, right? We help things.
I always say GAMA should give opportunities and GAMA should give education, because these retailers, these publishers, they will do their work if they are educated and they have support. So what we are saying is exactly what they need to get. They need to get education and support, and GAMA should do that. But they are just practicing election. They have a master's degree in elections.
They have a master's degree in elections. So I'm really sad about this. We make the jokes that it's like the next election or the next drama that goes on, and this is sadly more drama. So I'm very sad, Frank. I hope everything goes well. I hope you're doing okay. You're a good guy. GAMA needs good people to stay and kill this for us as an industry. Moving on. Might as well continue with more bad news, huh, Ignacy? Or maybe this is good news, at least for the designer now.
For the designer, yes.
Yeah, so game designer gets a judgment against source point parent Oxeye Media. No response from Oxeye. Game designer Mike Waxatch was granted a default judgment in his suit against Source Point parent Oxeye Media for unpaid royalties and other contract breaches, according to Wisconsin Circuit Court documents. The default judgment was made because Oxeye did not contest or otherwise respond to the suit. The $3,264.50 judgment included the judgment and amounts for attorney and other fees. The court has now issued an order of financial disclosure requiring Oxeye to either pay the judgment in full or complete a financial disclosure statement within 15 days of the judgment, which will be in about the next few days based on the article and what day it is today. Waxatch's suit alleged unpaid royalties, failure to provide royalty reports, and other contract breaches for his game Starving Artist. Do you know this designer, Ignacy, or do you know the game?
No.
Do you know the game? I don't think I know the game either.
I heard about this game.
Yes.
I haven't played it, but I noticed it when it was released. So it is our hobby. Like, this is not mass market game. This is I recognize it from Board Game Geek.
Yeah, it's a hobby game. That I do know, right? And it was a Kickstarter game. Original Kickstarter was run by Zafty Games, which relinquished its rights in connection with Wasatch's deal with Oxeye Media and transferred the inventory, including 2,800 units of the game, to Oxeye. It sounds like, just reading the original article, which was about the suit, which we did not report on because I either missed it or it, I don't know, it didn't rise to where I would have seen it. This game has moved around, between people who are managing it, right? So it came out as a Kickstarter under one company. It looks like that company either went under, they couldn't do anything, they transferred the inventory to another company, and now it's not working out there either. And we have to see is Oxeye Media still even a going concern or not. Maybe they're out of business. It becomes very hard to collect on the royalties if that happened.
I have a positive comment about that.
Go for it.
Surprising positive comment on that. I guess you hear it the same. I get this feedback very, very often. Young designers, starting designers, are very afraid and very protective about somebody will cheat them, somebody will steal their prototype, or will cheat them on the contract, or will cheat them on the royalties, etc., etc. So I want to send a message to new designers. Look, this is the first time we report something like that in these 10 years of recording podcasts. So please don't be scared. This is doing some shady things. I myself had an unpleasant adventure with Valley Games almost a decade ago.
Valley Games, yes.
But this is extremely rare situation. Our industry basically is very honest and very transparent, and cases like that are very, very rare. We don't know if this company just bankrupt and they have a problem with paying these royalties. We don't know details, but the main message from that would be young designers, don't be afraid. Sign contracts with their companies. Most of them, absolutely most of them, are very honest and transparent.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. 100% what you said. Companies want new designs. They want good relationships. Now, occasionally there are issues with paying late for royalties because of just the amount of work that's being done. But like with Stronghold, I mean, I made sure to the penny that people got what they deserved, because if I made more money at a convention on a sale, designers got, and say it was a $50 retail game, and I sold it for $50. Designers get more money than if I sell it through distribution where I make less money. I had these spreadsheets and I wanted to make sure designers get everything. So most companies, very honest. I would not worry young designers. Go to companies and you will get your royalties as stated. Now, this is a very interesting, I would say, controversial topic. It's about a wording change in D&D, which is going to take place with their new version. I believe it's called 1 D&D. It's not even not even out yet, right? So
Yes. It will be included. The change that we are going to describe will be included in the next stage of playtesting this new game, and it will be the final game.
Very good. So Dungeons and Dragons evolves beyond races. New RPG game term will appear in 1D&D books. The 1D&D is their new, I guess, the new version, right, of D&D after 5. A member of the D&D Beyond staff posted a note on their blog stating that Dungeons and Dragons RPG will no longer use race as a game term starting with 1D&D. In the next generation of D&D books, races will be replaced with species as a game term. The term race has been used as a game term to describe the general ancestry of a character since the first edition of the game. However, the playtesters and Wizards of the Coast believe it is time to leave that game term in the past. The blog explained the decision to replace the term as follows. We understand race is a problematic term that has had prejudiced links between real-world people and fantasy peoples of D&D worlds. The usage of the term across D&D and other popular IP has evolved over time. Now it's time for the next evolution. Since the release of 5th edition of D&D in 2014, we have made the conscious decision to reduce usage of the term race to only apply to the game mechanic. We further took a step further in the release of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything in 2020 when we presented an alternative to character creation that untangled ability score improvements from your choice of playable people. We have also evolved the lore of the peoples throughout the D&D multiverse to be more diligent in extracting past prejudices, stereotypes, and unconscious biases. The change in D&D game terms comes a few months after WotC removed offensive content related to the Hadozi race from the digital and future reprint versions of D&D Spelljammer Adventures in Space. So Ignacy, this is definitely a kind of a controversial topic. I mean, I would say that I do not extrapolate between human beings, the real world, and fantasy. I don't. So to me, this is not a thing that in my way of thinking at all relates. If I say that orcs in D&D, the race of orcs are evil, that's a fantasy thing. That doesn't translate for me to any other thing in the race of humanity in the real world. So I think for most people, I hope for most people, this kind of thing shouldn't really matter. I think it's just to say that because we have problems as a real world human beings, and we call people races, white race, black race, brown race, etc., that they want to get rid of it in their fantasy world as well. So I guess anything is a good thing to try to make us better in the way that we communicate, even in fantasy. I know the Cephalofair, right, by the way, right? They had a huge amount of diversity consultants that worked in Frosthaven to make sure that this was addressed very, very, very closely. So overall, is it needed? I don't know. For me, it certainly isn't. But as a general progression toward changing the way we think, about even a fantasy world, I guess this is a good step forward.
On one hand, of course, I'm not a native speaker, so discussing about the change of the vocabulary, maybe I'm not the right person. But on the other hand, of course, I care about gaming, and I try to learn as much as possible. I listened to the very interesting podcast, Dungeon Master of None. I strongly recommend everyone of our listeners to check out this podcast, Dungeon Master of None, and they recorded, be with me, 3 episodes, 1 hour long. So it's 3 hours long of the content discussing inclusiveness and all these topics in role-playing games. So I learned a lot about the topics and what they were saying. And once again, I'm not a native speaker, so maybe I'm wrong what I'm saying, but even in the sentence that you use, that you as a Steven and me as Ignacy the same, if I use the word orcs are an evil race, and I know that it talks about the orcs, but we somehow, subconsciously remember that the race can be evil. And then if you talk about the races of people, somehow in your subconscious, there is the race can be evil, can be bad, can do stuff. So changing into the species, make it super clear. We are not talking races, we are talking species. And elves and orcs and humans are different species. This is clear, right? So once again, on one hand, I'm not a native speaker, but on the other hand, after this education, self-education that I did about the topic, I fully approve. And this is I think this is a good change. To remove this even very subtle thought in our minds that race can be evil. No, race are different people are not evil, whatever race they are, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't use the word race. I hope that most people at least really think of the word as the human race, the real world. I don't use, there are people of color, of course, right? There are people all over the world that are different physically, okay, but I think of us as a human race. And sure, maybe it's not for us per se, this kind of stuff, but maybe it does bring away from us any association between the real world, things that we shouldn't have any association with, and now we use the same thing. Yeah,
that's how I understand it exactly.
Agreed. Ignacy, I think we need to go to strategy and tactics. Okay, everybody out there, we have Josh Wasser, who's at You Old Goat. So you talking about me, Josh? I remember hearing one time that art is preferred over photography when it comes to board games. Why is that? It seems like when it comes to IPs, it might tie to licensing. The only Star Wars game with movie stills I remember was the Decipher CCG from the 90s. What about original content? Nature, animals, themed games are big right now, and animal photography seems like it would be cheaper to use than original art. It's a very interesting question because, first of all, I guess it's two parts. First of all, is it more acceptable to use original artwork than to use beautiful photography? What do you think? I mean, just think about that for a moment. What do you think is better to use? Do you think gamers want one versus the other? Do you think it matters? As long as we're talking good for it, not like me going out with my iPhone and taking something, but like real photography, especially like of nature, and artwork of nature, for something like that.
I confirm that I think the perception of the community is that if the game has photos, there is some immediate connection that probably the publisher bought cheap photos on the stock because they didn't had money to pay the real artists. Like, so this is like, I think, a general conclusion of the gamers, and it might be true. If these games look better with photos or the artwork, of course it depends how great photos you have. National Geographic has some beautiful photos of the animals, right? And you can have very crappy artists if you don't have a lot of money. So of course it depends on your budget, how you skillfully do it. I can easily see the beautiful game with the beautiful photos of nature, and at the same time I can see a beautiful game with the artwork. So yes, I confirm that we as a gamers think that publishers buy very cheap stock photos when they don't have a budget. Personally, I don't like games with the photos. But it's just the gusty. I'm not saying that this is the wrong solution.
Right. And you know, if you were buying like Ansel Adams, or these photographs that are published in like things like National Geographic, I guarantee you'll be paying more money for those than for some artists that you can hire online. I think I think it's going to be very based on what the theme is we're talking about. Certainly, like, for space things and it's fantasy things. Yes, but not too many fantasies going on, photos going on in the fantasy world, right?
Two most popular games of the last year is Cascadia from AAG, right? And Ark Nova from Capstone Games. Ark Nova, both about animals, and Cascadia has the artwork, Ark Nova has the photos. Both of them very successful. Both of them look pretty okay. and now they could debate who spent more on this art.
You could now go debating who did it better or something like that. I happen to think that I actually haven't played Ark Nova yet, but I love the look of Cascadia. It makes me feel good just playing that game with the animals, beautiful animals all over the board, and the lovely landscape. And that's a shout out to Beth Sobel, who is one of the biggest artists right now in the industry, and she's killing it. Love her stuff. So it's a very interesting, thought-provoking question, Josh. I don't think we really answered it. I think, though, that the general perception is artwork over photography, but I don't think it's a slam dunk. Kevin Wardener, who's at Jercules, he's given us many questions. How will the World Series of Board Gaming prevent collusion? We just talked about it. As there is money on the line, what is stopping two people from agreeing to help each other within games when possible? Well, I guess I'm the expert at this one. Kevin, I've never seen a tournament structure run more professionally than this. First of all, you don't know. I mean, when you sit down at a table, it's a randomization. So you sit down, you don't. And when you sit down at a table, you're not allowed to leave the table. That's kind of a rule too. If you have to use the facilities, you ask, you go to the facilities, you come back. So you can't collude, certainly in the preliminary rounds. Now, when for like the final table or something like that, there might be a way, but it just doesn't seem like anybody is attempting to do that. And I think you might even be able to see weird play. There was no indication of cheating. There was no indication of collusion. There was no indication of bad sportsmanship. In fact, the sportsmanship, I think, tells you enough about the character and what people were doing. I think I've mentioned this when I got back. People were sitting at the final table, the final table too, and all of the final tables from the different ring events, saying, this has been just an amazing experience. No matter how this works out, guys and gals, there was plenty of women there too. I am so happy to have done this. Thank you. I had the best player win. So prevention, always a very hard word, but from a way it was run, to me, it was spot on.
I would say that the bad people will spoil everything, and if this event will be super popular, if these hours will be bigger and bigger and bigger, at some point there will be some bad apple that would like to exhaust, the thing. But at this time, the first edition, I also had only the great things about it. So kudos to organizers, kudos to all the people who played it. Hopefully next year will be also super fair play, and the next year as well. And at some point, maybe some jerk will show up at the tournament, and we will comment on him, and we will tell about his bad behavior on this podcast. But it happens in the poker tournaments. You have it in the chess tournaments. People want to cheat when they see a prize. But so far, so good. Board gamers, yes, they're amazing, and let's keep that way.
That's right. Kurt Van Hoyveld, who's Vitruvian Gamer, a good buddy. He's always posting here. Being a member of multiple Discord channels, subscribed to a bunch of games on BGG, and following crowdfunding campaigns, I notice a lot of publishers struggling or even failing in reacting to people's justified and unjustified comments and questions, regularly leading to cascading negativity in the comments on forums, I think he meant, and social media. How difficult is it for a publisher to follow up these questions and keep the peace with players, backers, and haters? It's very hard to keep up with it, but you need to. And you need to set expectations for people as well. Didn't we talk about this? Yes. We talked about this, I think, last episode of the one before, where the portal didn't comment, right? Like for a weekend, because people were off. People have to have 2 days off, the platform people. Somebody posted on Friday late, and by Saturday midday, they were like, why hasn't my question? Hey, that's called gamer entitlement, and it's not cool. Give people a couple of days to get back to you because they have to have some time off. Don't you want it off?
Yeah, this is mission impossible. So there is besides there is so many comments in the internet. There is so many different platforms. So I have to check what people are saying on Board Game Geek, what they are saying on the
Right.
Facebook groups, what they are saying on Reddit, what they are saying on my Discord channel. Like there's so many places, and it is hard. Even the example from the last week. I mentioned the previous podcast that we had some issues with our new release, Wrath of the Lighthouse, and that we are working on the FAQ. And I was sick. We didn't record 2 weeks ago, right? Because I was sick, so I was not responding on the Board Game Geek forum. And of course, immediately after these few days when I was off from the work, there was like, why publisher is not responding? Why publisher is not listening to us? Why publisher? And negative energy just grows. Like they are get more angry and more angry, and they are just seeing me as a more and more enemy every single day when I'm on my sick days off. So yeah, this is difficult. We cannot fight it. When people are on the social media, when they are on front of the monitor and on the keyboard, they are so angry at the world. In the real communication, when I go to conventions, everybody's so nice, and then they have this keyboard. I don't know what's happening with these keyboards, but they are changing people in the very angry people. So it is mission impossible to please everyone, because there's so many different forums, so many different social apps when they want you to answer, and you cannot answer everywhere.
It's sadly the anonymity of the internet turns people into bad people sometimes. The bottom line here is, for publishers, they need to have someone on their team that they can assign the job of social media. We have
full-time, we have full-time employee just for customer service, just for answering your questions, guys. Full-time
customer service and social media. They're constantly monitoring it so that they can do this. But you gotta give them a little time off once in a while. Wait, chill, and they're gonna get back to you for any responsible company. Mr. Juggles, who's at Mr. Juggles, I started reading ahead here. This is a great one. Here's something you don't consider. Have you ever put on a coat and found $20 in the pocket, or something you totally forgotten about? I know I have. I've done that because I forget things all the time. I was out walking the dog the other day, listening to episode 245, when you read out a question of mine from way back in 2021. What an absolute joy and total surprise to hear my name mentioned when I totally forgot I posted the question. So here's my question that probably won't get read out until June 2023. Ha! Wrong. It was read on December 2022. So 6 months before you thought you were going to get it, Mr. Juggles, you've got your answer to this question. That's another surprise. Hopefully you're walking the dog and you're starting to laugh at my silly comments about this. So the next UK Expo will be over or close. It wasn't. And it's based on a long-winded, silly joke. I'd post that next, so you don't need to read it out. But I did. Were you to die tomorrow and go to heaven, you're assuming that we are believers here, but that's okay. Were you to die tomorrow and go to heaven, where there's gaming tables as far as the eye can see? Now that's heaven right there, right? This is our vision of heaven, and somebody to teach me every game, and me to be able to hear and learn every game immediately without any okay, I get it, let's play. 5-minute explanation, because your brains can immediately absorb all the rules to War of the Ring and remember them forever. For instance, a gaming library that has every copy of every game available. This is heaven, Ignacy. People on hand to clearly teach every game. I just said that. And all the best snacks to keep you sated. What is the first game you'd sit down to master, or tournament you'd sign up to play?
I'm playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle. This miniature game I played when I was in the college. Then I found Portal Games and I had no time for that. I still have my miniatures at home because I'm crazy and I believe I will play them when I retire. So I have my whole big, amazing army of dwarfs, and I'm waiting to play them. And maybe it's true, I will play them only after death. So they are ready. So yes, Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I would go for the tournament. I will shoot from my cannons. I will shoot from my crossbows. I will march with my warriors. It will be amazing.
This is a hard question, actually. You have every game possible. You've got perfect teaching. You've got all the food and snacks you want. What are you going to master? I'm going to go crazy here, I think. Campaign for North Africa. The longest game ever designed that takes, I think the box says something like 15,000. I don't know. It's like some crazy number. I want to play the most epic war game ever. That or the one that my nephew, A World in Flames, which is got up like 15 days on the box is the number to play it. That's what I want. I could do that all the time. Just keep crunching away at the table while we play. It's got beer too, right? Right, Mr. Jugglers, you got beer? Okay, then I'm in.
I think so, yeah.
As a side note, I'm Paul, the UK volunteer at Portal, with the strong regional accent, and I'm going to try and learn a small amount of Polish for the next UK GE. What phrases should I try to learn for them?
Piwo dla wszystkich. Beer for everyone.
Oh, how do you say cookies for everyone?
Ciastka dla wszystkich.
There we
Ciastka,
go.
Cookies, yeah.
Paul, well, thank you. I'll see you at the UKGE. Ignacy, do you think you're going this year?
No decision yet.
No decision. Come on, Ignacy. If I'm going to be there, you have no excuse.
Fair point.
Fair point. All right. Let's get over to play testing. I'm scrolling down here to get to play testing. Okay. So last week I asked a very simple question. It was very simple. Ignacy's like, too easy. And I asked, will you do more or less board gaming over the holidays? Will you play more light games like family games, or will you try to get the big games to the table? Which games do you think you'll play? And my challenge to everybody also that we put right in here, try to get some new gamers into the hobby this holiday season by playing some light games with them, right? Because that's a great thing to try, because you're going to see people obviously over the holidays, non-gamers. So pick some really light things that are still hobby that maybe they'll like. Hey, they're trick takers, like they play euchre, spades and hearts. You got the Cat in the Box, the new Cat in the Box game. Awesome game. Give that a try with them. So Ignacy, what do you like here? What did people tell you?
I like what Paul said, and he reminded me that this is actually indeed a very Christmas thing. So he said, I think I will likely do more gaming, but with my kids. And this is something that I forgot. There's a whole family is coming together, and then you are this geek at the family who has these cool games, and all the kids are around you and say to you, hey, uncle, play with us, etc., etc. So Paul says he will be doing more gaming with his kids and nieces and nephews, so very light games. I'm planning on trying out Bonanza. Great choice. And No Thanks, great choice as well with them. And the Hit with my family, Hit is amazing, great choice. I'm giving my daughters a few games for Christmas though, so I'm working on your challenge of the week, trying to get people into games, albeit young gamers. So perfect way, be this uncle, be this aunt that comes to the Christmas with this pile of amazing games and play with the kids and make them amazing memories. Good job, Paul. And the other thing that I liked is from our friend Kurt, because he presented himself as a true Eurogamer, because he said, looking at a couple of years of data on board game stats. So he's not making it up. He has the data. He's prepared. And he says, it looks like December isn't different number-wise compared to the average games I play every month. The only that boost is a little bit is the games played on a New Year's Eve, which we tend to celebrate with some friends and games. So we have a very educated gamer who knows exactly what he's playing and what he will be playing, and I love it. And yes, last New Year's Eve, I also played a ton of games, so I hear you, sir. So, what did you pick?
So this is and I'm gonna riff a little bit on Vitruvian gamer Kurt there for a second, and the whole New Year's Eve thing. I'm invited to because we're gonna be here for the holidays. We're gonna be alone, no family down here. Oh, my brother Greg might be here, but we're not going back to the north. So one of our non-gaming friends in the area has decided to throw the New Year's Eve party, just a gathering, and he looked at me when he saw me. He goes, why don't you bring a game and we'll play? And I'm like, I gotcha. So he's all like nervous that about the game, and I'm like, we're gonna play ready. I'm gonna play Ready Set Bet with them, the new AEG game. It's all about betting, horse races betting. These guys are degenerate gamblers to begin with. They're not gamers, but that game is going to come out because they're going to love it, especially with the app. I'll put it on the TV, and they'll see the whole thing happening as they make their bets. So that's going to be the one thing to play with non-gamers.
Wits and wagers. Come on, wits and wagers.
That's funny. That actually is another good one that I haven't played with them, I don't think. And of course, if
they like to bet, it's perfect, right?
Yeah, but it's not, you're betting on something, very thinky, I guess. It's not horses or sports or something else that these guys would normally bet on. But no, it's a good choice. I think that they would like that. But amazingly, my brother really likes code names too, which is great. But yes, he cheats. He cheats because what he does is I'm telling you, in code names, it's a very strict rule. When you give the clue, you got to go blank. Your face goes blank. You can't make noises. As people are like pointing, like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's this. And he's like, no, shut the F up. You can't make it. And then when people finally pick it, he goes, boom, yeah. No, you can't do that either. You're supposed to just be like, okay, Spy Master has told you something. He's a cheater in that game, and I can't let him do it. So one of the things that, we talked about last week is that you thought, well, the obvious answer is you're going to be playing the bigger games. But I think it's about 50-50 here on people saying, we'll play bigger games and we'll play lighter games because I'll have more family time and friends over. So it's got to be quicker games. But it went both ways. So the first one here I got is Peter Vandermeer. He said, we managed to plan a whole day to play Twilight Imperium with 6 friends. There you go, man. That's going to be an epic game. So that's on the bigger side. And Peter Haroldson said definitely more games, but with a few days off, probably several lighter games. And he also hopes to get Sky Mines to the table. That's the heavier side. But 6 Nymph, No Thanks, Carcassonne are also games that'll hit the table, and Imperial Settlers. So
thank you.
He's got you on the calendar there too. And Adrian Dong says, if my gamer brother can come for a visit, more games. If he doesn't come, less. And if he comes, I might be able to play a medium weight game. Otherwise, the rest of the family, including me, mostly plays lighter games normally. So you see, we have a whole spectrum there of heavy games, light games, more games, less games. It's interesting. You think one way when you write a question like that, but we really ended up getting a whole nother thing. So Ignacy, what do you have for us?
So this leitmotif of this year was increasing prices, inflation, and basically we discussed a lot this year about the price of the game. So my question at the end of the year would be for you, which game component in modern board games would you be able to sacrifice and downgrade to get back to lower prices of games? And what I'm saying is that when we both started the industry, me and Steven, games looked so different than today. Like there was no plastic insert in the board game. There was no screen printed wooden custom pieces. There was no double layered boards. There was like, we over these 10 years, over this decade of board gaming production, we increased the quality and the value of the game components a lot, but it comes with the increase of the prices. So now my question is, which of these new amazing fancy components would you be able to sacrifice? Say, okay, I can live without double-sided boards. I can live without plastic insert. Yeah. I can live without screen printing on wooden components. What you can sacrifice, and which of these things that you love so much that you are going to pay higher, but you need them in your board games? Yeah,
this is a great question, Ignacy. It really is, because it's funny, when we started this, we had games.
There was just wooden cubes.
There was wooden cubes and flat mats, and nothing was 3-dimensional.
Yep.
The boards in war games back in the day were flat pieces of paper with little 1 millimeter chips. Yep. Now it's like just crazy. You didn't even have places you had to sort out those chits like every time. I don't even know if we had enough plastic bags those days to put all the chits in. It was crazy. So, and we were used to it. Now you get so spoiled, right? It's spoiled. So I guess maybe in no particular order, I don't need double layer player boards. Just be freaking careful when you're moving your cube around. I don't need 3-dimensional pieces. I loves me my Foundations of Rome. Don't get me wrong. But Arcane Wonders, maybe you need to bring out like a $50 version of that $200 game that's just a board in the center with cardboard polyomino pieces, right? And everybody can afford it now, just about, right? That'd be wonderful. So I'm going with player boards that don't have to be two layers and 3D pieces. I would sacrifice them to help bring the price down for some people.
It's interesting because, of course, we both knowing what is increasing the prices the most. I would go with the same answer like you, like these double-sided boards, like these double-layered boards, like this exactly doubling the cost of production of these stupid boards.
Very expensive.
So this really increases the price, and it's just to help you when you are not careful. So
when you're an idiot player and you're constantly hitting the table or knocking your stuff around.
Yeah, and we have to double the cost of production of this board. So I
funny.
would go with the same choice as you. This is strange, but very cool.
Very, very cool. So right now, Ignacy is going to create a thread on Board Game Geek for you to answer our question to you. So please go to our guild on BGG, find our playtesting thread for this question and post your answers, and we'll talk about it next week. Let's get over to the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening, and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. If you want to be part of this podcast, you can. Just ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment by posting them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek. And also answer our question to you from our playtesting segment also by going to our guild on Board Game Geek and looking for the thread with this episode's question. Check out our websites, which are Portal Games US and Podfather Gaming. We are all over social media. You know that. Interact with us, please. On Facebook, please like our pages, which are /BoardGamesInsider, /PortalGamesUS, and /Podfather Gaming. Speak directly to Ignacy and Steven on Twitter and Instagram. It's @PortalGamesUS and @Podfather Gaming. And the very active YouTube channels are Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and the Podfather of Gaming. And on TikTok for Ignacy, it's Portal Games US. We really love to see you in person at upcoming conventions in 2023. Please come over when you see one of us and talk to us. We live to do that with you. The people who listen, say nice things about us, or we will walk away from you. Just kidding. Board Games Insider is professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast, as he's done for the last several years. Thank you so much, Matthew. And starting in the beginning of the year, our new podcast editor will be Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine Podcast. You can also have him do your podcast, because I met him at PAX, and he is also asking people if they want a podcast editor. You can reach out to him. I'll get his contact info for the next episode. I don't have it right here in front of me, but if you look up Tabletop Submarine Podcast, I'm sure you can get him through that. And you should listen to it because it's a really cool podcast. I also want to thank 7 others who stepped up forward and offered their services, each of which I certainly would have done a great job as well. So thank you, Tila, Alexander, Dan, Jacob, Dave, Nate, and Leland for your offer to help us with the podcast. I had to choose one of 8 people, and somehow I picked Joshua. So thank you all. And finally, also that great voice you hear doing our intro, outro, and in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com, or you can contact him to go play War of the Ring with you, because he's a War of the Ring and War of the Ring the card game player. Ignacy, that brings us to the close of the show.
I always have the same statement at the end lately: support independent independent publishers like Ignacy from Portal Games, and check out portalgamesus.com. You missed all the Black Week sales, you missed all the Cyber Monday sales. Good for me, but now you can go to portalgamesus.com and check out our games and maybe pick something for your close ones for Christmas. Support us. I appreciate that.
Okay, that's nice. That's very
And
self-serving, but I think I have better thing to mention here, don't I?
This is something that will happen here. You will now say that? What I'm seeing? Okay,
Should I say that?
interesting.
I had
Go.
I had a meeting at PAX Unplugged with a certain very large company. Asmodee. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I had a meeting with them. I had a meeting. It's just a meeting. You don't know. I don't know.
I just want in with this news just announced and the big gorilla in the industry mentioned, I just want to say once again, please support independent publishers like Portal Games.
But please support the smaller independent publishers as well. I only said I had a meeting with them. We hung out. We had a meeting. That's all. I don't know. Does that mean I'm not retired because I had a meeting? No, I have meetings with lots of people. So we'll see what that means. Hopefully other things will be announced in the future. Everybody out there, I love hearing from you. I love seeing you. People were actually saying to me, like, so what are these meetings you're taking? Because I've mentioned I've taken meetings recently. What are these meetings? More to follow, hopefully. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for listening to us or watching us. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.